one day be a speaker or to do something like I do and like you do.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you remember this, but I came up with this, what I'm about to say, when I was on the phone with you a couple weeks ago.
Let's go.
It's the idea of that when your mess has aged, then you have a message.
Woo! Welcome back to another episode of Aspire Higher with Charles
and Yvana
Bailey. We're so glad that you have taken the time to take time with us. In fact, take a little bit more time, subscribe, share, do whatever you got to do. I don't care if you need to pick up the phone, call somebody. Yo, there's another episode out. We want your support. Yes. But we are genuinely happy because we have a great friend of ours, James Leath. He's an author. He's a keynote speaker. He is a dynamic teacher. He leads seminars. He actually is the president, founder of Unleash the Athlete. He speaks all around the country, and we go back for years.
Yes.
But I'm telling you, I look forward to talking with him because he's going to talk a lot about team building. In fact, that's his specialty. So we're going to have a great conversation. If you're looking to build a team, you want activities on how to build a team, we're going to be talking about that today. So let's jump right into it. James, what's up, bro? How are you?
Man, I don't know if I can live up to that hype. That's a lot of hype. I should have had more caffeine because whatever I need some. Man.
Well, you know, I'm always high off of love, man, and I'm always high off of happy because I haven't seen your face in so long, and I'm so proud of you because you have been changing cultures around the world, not just our country. So, bro, hats off to you. And speaking of hats, looks like you should have worn one for this episode. You're doing headbutt in the locker, man.
I'm so embarrassed. I feel like I have a highlighter on my forehead right now. I don't have a great story either. I didn't save anybody. I was just wrestling with the dogs and he bit my face.
Oh, no.
He bit you?
You know,
well, like one of those like taps. Yeah, well, that's what you get. He probably tried to let you know who's still boss. His name is Tux, right?
Yeah, I bit him first. So
okay.
Wow. Wait a minute. We need full context.
Well, man.
It's so cute. It's like my favorite part of the day. I wake up and I open up the door and he's right there and I'm like, good morning. And he's wagging his tail and we get right into it.
That's immediately. Oh, man, that's cool. Well, it's amazing. We're looking at this incredible home studio you got here, and it's pretty clean, so I can't imagine. One thing I can tell you I noticed right off the bat is you do a lot of reading, so you are definitely well-versed.
Where's our book?
Yeah, you know, we were supposed to have a book, bro. I mean, I thought...
You can't see it. It's blurred out.
Oh, okay.
So he blurred out our book on our show.
Kind of
all right, no problem. Hey, well, let's talk really quick, man. Tell a little bit about yourself, other than what I said, but like, where have you been? Where are some of the things, where are some of the places you've been recently, some of the places you've been speaking? Just give the audience a little bit more about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the last time I saw your beautiful bride, I think we were moving you.
Yes.
Wow. That was so
Yes.
That was
That's
a
right.
long time ago.
Long time.
Wow.
Long time. And I was so happy because he was so strong.
He was strong, friendly, had a Jeep.
So happy. Yeah. Just willing to serve.
Yeah.
I loved it. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Again.
But yeah, so I mean, that is a long time ago. And, you know, anytime you help somebody move, you know, you're friends for life. That's
That's right.
one of those things. But yeah, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. I was in Bradenton when I met y'all a long time ago and moved to Dallas because my father had a stroke. And so I took care of him for about 9 months. And then he went to go be with the Lord. And I stayed in Dallas. And I was working with the Cowboys.
Okay.
I did some work up in Chicago with the Bulls.
Yes,
and
man.
It was fantastic. I had a great time. I loved living in the Lone Star State. But then I got an offer to be with Ethos. Which a long time ago, those people came from IMG, which is where you and I met.
Wow.
And so now here in Phoenix, I'm working with pro athletes and business executives, life coaching type stuff.
Yes.
All focused on communication, team building, imagery, visualization, all the stuff that you and I talk about. We go off on tangents. But now it's just more an official terms.
Oh my gosh. But you've also written a new book, which I definitely mentioned. What's the name of your book? And what can people get out of it?
Well, team building activities for athletes.
Okay.
And what I did at IMG Academy was I was the head of leadership development for the whole campus. And we did a lot of activities with the kids, just helping them to build their self-esteem, their communication, their ability to connect with one another. And then they would take that onto the field, onto the court. And, when you have a shared language between teammates and you have inside jokes, it's like those are the two things that can really help a team to grow to aspire to be better and to really just connect on that level. Is not as difficult as most coaches would think. But these same activities, I use them in the business setting. And you can connect people on this level where they're having inside jokes. Now they're walking by each other in the hallway or seeing each other on Zooms and being like, oh, remember when you said that thing? And they're laughing with each other instead of at each
other, right? I mean, sometimes you got to laugh at a person because they may be funny.
It becomes okay.
Yes, that is what I mean.
Make a mistake in one of these activities, or when an athlete or a business folk does, they make a mistake. You literally are laughing at them. But for some reason, it's okay because you're in it together.
Yes, you feel accepted.
It becomes this bonding experience.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and James, first of all, we respect your work so much.
Absolutely.
So thank you for all your servitude in organizations and with athletes. It really does matter, and we thank you for that. I want to ask you personally, when have you seen confidence at an ultimate low when you have walked in an organization, and how have you transformed that for the team?
Usually that's a great question, but usually that has to do with they don't know the purpose of the theme of why they're playing the sport, why they're doing selling the product. I've been in sales organizations before just as an employee, and I'm like, I don't really believe in this product.
Yes.
I need to understand, like, how does this go? I sold cars for 6 months, and I got excited about how much money you can make, but then I saw how it was ripping people off and how much, for me, it was a single mom came in, 3 kids, and there was this Tahoe. And I was like, this is a great deal. We got it for $9,000. She's got 14. We'll make 5 on it. It'd be great. And they were like, go for 23. And I'm like, 23? Why? And they're
it doesn't make any sense.
And they were like, nope, we need to make more money on it. I'm like, you're making $5,000. You're only going to pay me $500.
Right.
I literally told her,
He's like, everybody's getting screwed except you guys. What do you mean?
Yeah. And so I walked away from it. I couldn't
understand.
do it. But then, you work for a company. I work for a company called Mind Body, and they do yoga software.
Oh, wow. We're familiar with Mind Body.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You probably actually gave us a call once or twice because, we're still in.
Probably a lot more than that. But I believed in the product. And so I would keep calling, and I'm like, look, y'all, if you don't have an appointment software, this is it. This is the best on the market. And I believed in it. And so I was really good at it. And so whenever you come into an organization now as a consultant, what I try to do is just let them know, it's like, why are you here? Let's talk about what drives you. What are your subconscious drivers? What are your unconscious drivers? What are your unconscious? What are your conscious? What are you doing here? What kind of skills can you bring? And when you open up that kind of dialogue, it's great. But a lot of companies, they're afraid of that because they'll be like, well, we're going to train up our people and they're going to leave. But I love what Steve Jobs said, late great Steve Jobs. He was like, someone asked him, what if you train all them and they leave? And he goes, well, what if I don't and they stay?
That's it.
It's huge. You have all these people and
that's right.
And they're just stuck. And they're not growing and your business is dying and you don't know why.
And the culture is dead.
Yes. And so you can't be afraid to ignite the culture. You can't be afraid to lose a few good people, because if you're a good company, they're going to want to stay.
And that's the bottom line, James.
Leave for anything other than, people don't leave because of money. People don't leave because they leave because the company just isn't serving them and they're not giving them purpose.
That's the bottom line. Beautiful. And obviously we're talking the same language because that's a lot of what we do when we do our executive coaching as well. And we found that same thing. So it's wonderful to have someone else that can give perspective on that, because a lot of people are afraid, assuming that they need to keep the personnel instead of progress the personnel. I would rather much have someone that I've given and invested into and they walk away from what we were doing, but they will always look back and say, you know where I got that from? Do you know this was the greatest experience I ever had? This is the place that helped me find who I truly was. So man, that's incredible. Talk about some of the things that you work through when you're working through those confidence barriers. What do you help people to figure or to establish, or what training do you use?
Well, so before I answer that, I just wanted to make a
Sure.
comment on what you said
Please.
about when you give to people. It's 2023. You and
Yeah.
I met in 2016.
Yeah, man.
And then we went years without talking to each
Yeah.
other.
Mm.
And then you come back together and it's like, oh, okay, we're good. And it's just like a company that's like, oh, you want to leave? Cool. Like, best of luck to you. It's not the end of the world.
It's not
We
the
might be
end.
connected
Yes,
another
absolutely.
right? And so it's like you train them up and then they leave and it's like,
Right.
okay, cool. It's like you're
Right.
sending out somebody out into the world.
Yeah.
But man, if you're good, they're going to come back or you're
Yeah,
going to
come
meet at
on.
a different company.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so wherever you leave, try to leave with like the best.
Yes.
Just,
Oh,
like,
yes.
you know, I love you, everybody. I'm out.
Yeah.
Peace out. I'll see you again.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's right.
That's right.
That's
That's
right.
right.
And there's intention behind that. I'll never forget. I called you up one day, and you know, because I've sporadically stayed in touch with you, and you asked me, said, "Why do you keep calling me, or why is it that you know?" And you remember, and I said, "Because James, I've always decided to be intentional. If
Right.
someone is worth or valuable in my life, and they cross my mind,
Right.
I'm not going to be like, oh, I thought about them.
Right,
I want you to
right.
know that I thought about you,
Right.
Yeah, it's
and that
huge.
is that
It
kept
is.
us connected all these years."
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
are some
absolutely.
What are some flaws you see in the makeup of leaders
That's a good
around this topic specifically? Not just that they're afraid to train people, but are there some internal things? You mentioned that internal, externals, social. What are the things that you've encountered the most?
Well, head trash.
Mm.
Right? Like just, you know, the imposter syndrome.
Come on, bro.
Yes.
Talk about it.
Just the idea, like one of my favorite analogies is in The Wizard of Oz, when all five of them, you got Dorothy, you got the Scarecrow, Tin Man, the Cowardly Lion, and Toto. They're sitting there and they got this big Oz, and he's like, "Yo, you got to do this," and he's yelling and everything. Well, Toto in the story is the conscience of Dorothy, and Toto goes over and pulls the curtain back, and there's this scared old man.
Old man.
Right.
And what you learn when you get into these companies and you start working with CEOs, you realize that nobody knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
True.
Like everybody's just winging it,
Right.
you know, and the ones that last are the ones that prioritize relationship
Come on.
and growth
Yes.
and encouraging their other leaders and giving them autonomy. And so the whole idea of pulling back the curtain and seeing it's like everybody is just barely making it.
Yeah, bro.
Like we're all struggling.
We all are.
And so one of the things that I see is that how do you ask questions to yourself? So for example, everybody thinks in questions. That's how we think.
Yes.
And the reason I know that is because as soon as I said that, first thing you said was like, is that true? Thinking questions? So yes, we absolutely do.
Right.
And like Tony Robbins says, if you want a better life, ask better questions.
Yes.
Right.
And so whether I'm dealing with an 11-year-old ice skater at
Yeah.
8 o'clock this morning who will most likely be in the Olympics, or the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, we talked about the same thing.
Because
It's
it's the
what
same.
questions are you asking yourself?
Come on. That's
That
right.
all happened in the last 4 hours. I had those two conversations, and it was the same conversation as an older guy and a young child who's about to be an Olympian.
Wow.
It's like, what kind of questions are you asking yourself?
Wow.
Are you asking like, so she would fall,
Right.
then she would be like, you know, Yvana, you played sports at a high level, right? So when you
Absolutely.
fail,
Yes.
you're just like, okay, I guess am I a loser? Well,
Right.
that's a terrible question.
Yeah, it is
course,
a
of
terrible
course.
question.
Because if you failed at something, it's like, what did I do wrong? In her case, it's like, where was my foot? Where was my
Right,
focus?
my
Was I
placement,
leaning on my
exactly.
right leg when I
Mhm.
went up and do the spinity loop diddy loop?
That is the official name, by the way, and it's been trademarked for 30 years.
Name it
So
after me.
let's be careful here.
Spot on your forehead, you know, like that's it. But and with him, it was just like, all right, when a sales presentation doesn't go well, or you didn't get that property that you wanted to buy,
Right.
like where was the failure? Can you remove yourself and be objective about
Yes.
what can I do better next
Yeah,
time?
that's
Not why am I a loser?
Right.
That's a
Right.
terrible
Right.
Right.
The bigger question is, what did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong?
That's
and
right.
the magic word is curiosity.
Curiosity.
Can I be curious about what I did wrong?
Mm. That's
And
interesting.
then you learn from that.
Yeah, and it's such a good space and a good question to
Mm.
ask oneself, because I think you can escape, especially speaking into athletics, you can escape very quickly from that comfort of what you said in curiosity and start with accusation,
Yeah.
and start with blame and condemnation and criticism,
Of self.
of self all the time. You don't even need a coach to do it. Like sometimes athletes are their own worst coaches,
Yeah,
to be
that's true.
honest. But to breathe that ground, it seems so genuine, of curiosity, and those questions. I think that has transcended probably the attitude of the young Olympian and the CEO far beyond what they could have imagined. And that's what some things that we've seen in our business as well. It is when you strip away the title, you strip away the position, you strip away all that accolade and fame. What are you really believing intrinsically about yourself, and what are you standing on that has enough foundation and ground that will propel your life forward? Those are the things that matter. And I love that you said that, James, because those questions, they're everything.
And it's really interesting because on that level, like he was saying, there's no difference between the older CEO and the child.
None.
And, we used to often say about adults, they're just older children.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly speaking, we're just children on the inside.
Remember,
with the
James
same
said
fears.
he bit his dog in the morning.
In the morning. First thing I do is bite my dog.
Look at him so proud. He's like, yeah, I did that.
And I mean, this guy influences people. But hey, that's how it goes.
He comes from a line of wolves, all right? Thousands of years.
What kind of dog do you have? Let's clear this up. What kind of dog do you have? Tell us.
It's a Labradoodle. So
my gosh. What? Okay. All right.
Not even a husky.
So clearly James he's asking the wrong questions. And he's got a Labradoodle and somehow there's a masculinity question there that I think we need to be asking. I don't know. But anyway, just because he's wrestling the dog. The dog's not even bred for that nature.
Morning.
Not even close. I
start my day by wrestling a beast. All right. That's how I start my day.
All right. Okay. Well, next thing I want to kind of jump into, man, and it's a very sincere one. What is the most common, would you say, the most common pitfall that you see when you're coaching someone one-to-one or an organization? So we talked about the CEO and the child, but give that comparison with the whole organization and the individual.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it's just what we talked about.
Yes.
You're letting other people ask the question.
Right.
Right. So like if Jalen White would allow other people to ask the question, he might think he did a terrible job at the Super Bowl. He did not.
Right.
He did an amazing job, and his team lost. Just like Russell Wilson a few years ago when they handed it off to beast mode, or they could have handed it off to beast mode, but instead they threw it because that's what coach called, and it got intercepted by the Patriots and they won. So it's like the next day you're like, I could be a total loser, or you'd be like, you know what? I played well, and my team lost, but we win as a team, we lose as a team, but also internally, how did I do? I did okay, and so now I can keep my head up high. But so if you listen to social media and you listen to the pundits and the talking heads and family members,
no mercy.
Yeah, or fans that are just like, oh, the Chiefs suck. It's like,
no, they don't. Actually, they were in the Super Bowl.
Like, pretty good, like just forever. We're just delusional. That's never gonna happen. That's my lifetime. Or the Cowboys, to be honest with you, right? But
America's team.
Yeah. So I think it's letting others control how you ask questions to yourself, because it all comes down to your mindset. There was a study in 1999, I think it was Harvard. It's 3,000 people or 30,000 people, and they were asked about stress. And what they found is that it wasn't the amount of stress in your life that caused you to die early. It was what you thought about the stress.
Wow, the perception of the stress.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And so if I'm working out really hard in the morning and I'm sore later on, am I happy about it?
Or am I disappointed? Right. And I'm the guy that I get excited about it. Yeah.
Right. Like I broke down muscle and I know the next day I'm going to come back stronger. And when years ago when my brother passed away, it was very stressful, but I was like, I can get over this. I can move on from this, and I can honor him by living out my life. Right. And so you become better at seeing stress as what it is. It's neutral. Like, it wears on your body, but what is it doing for your body? It's making you stronger if you let it.
That's right.
And so basically you're speaking, that's how you even help organizations to see the challenges that they face together, right? Yeah. It's not the stress of what they're trying to do, but how they as an organization is perceiving the stress. It's not just a personal thing, correct? If I'm hearing you correctly?
Right.
Well, and taking a long-term view.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, okay, it sucks right now, but okay, we need to go. It's a season.
Yes.
Right.
After every winter, there's a spring.
Yeah, man.
Right. That's right.
And it's awesome. And we have spring break, so we can just go lose our minds on some beach. know? And then it's summer and it gets a little, okay, we need to probably get back to work. And then fall comes and now it's time to work before another winter comes. And so you come into these seasons of life and some are longer and some are shorter.
Yeah.
But you really have to just listen, like, where am I at in my business?
Right.
Am I at a place where I need to grow? Am I a place where I'm coasting? Well, that's dangerous too, because someone's going to come along and knock you off.
Always.
Every time.
You just said something about growth, and I think that's a great segue into the next conversation point. And you do a lot of work specifically helping organizations and teams to build. You kind of started this segment off with that very same thought, where it's okay and the environment is conducive to bringing people together, and that camaraderie and the morale increases. Talk a little bit about team building from however you want to, but you can talk about that point where you know you need to grow. Is it a question of, do you have the right team? Is it a question of, are you the worst team member? What do you look at when you start to speak to organizations or individuals about their team?
Yeah, good question. I like to come out and find out different ways that people can become leaders, like different ways that they can serve, whether they're the manager or not. So like, we'll start with the sports team. You get a sports team and you have people, and everybody on there can be a leader. Not everybody can be the leader,
That's right.
the captain, but they can be a leader. So what can you do? In the business world, it's like, okay, take everything that everybody's doing, take your job description. Are you doing everything your job description says? Okay, you are good. Now, are you open to helping other people succeed?
Bro.
As well?
That's the bottom line.
Yes.
That, bro, let me just tell you how awesome it is to hear you say that, because that is one of the most important things that I hope, if you're listening and you're driving, or if you're watching this, take note of that. Because what you're seeing is an epidemic of quiet quitting. You're seeing people who aren't finding satisfaction in their work, and you may even be someone who's feeling that way. Point being is because you may have lost your sense of purpose as to why you are in the role you're in. It's not about the position, but it is about the influence that you can have in the position that you have.
That's right.
James just made an incredible point that I want to make sure I reiterate, that Coach and I want to reiterate. You have to also see and be open to helping others succeed. If you help the team win, I used to say this when I worked in corporate structure, even in ministry, we all win.
Yeah, that's right.
We're all trying to do one thing together, even if we're doing multiple things. So James, great point. And if you want to elaborate, feel free. But I think Yvana has something she wants to say.
No, I was going to say that my brother, coming from ex-NFL history, he used to love OTAs. He used to love that season because having that camaraderie with your team. Say it again.
Yeah, what you say?
They're optional teamwork.
Yeah. You know it's not optional.
Get practice.
That part. But he used to love being around his team, not only because it was, just that team building time, but having the opportunity to present himself in leadership, because he's a really strong leader.
Very strong.
And seeing that sometimes you don't have to be just a QB to be the leader.
That's right.
You have that unique light within you to express leadership in whatever form and fashion. And there are other people that are looking to partner with that. I think sometimes when we're in business or sport, we might assume, nope, that's their role. That's who they are. That's them. But we have that inner gold within us that other people are attracted to. We just have to find the confidence in that, because that's still working within your purpose, in serving others. So I love that you said that, because it's all about others as well with confidence.
And you're talking about leadership.
That's right.
Essentially speaking, right? Because what you just said, James, and thank you so much for sharing that, because it's true. Leadership is not positional. That's what I took away from what both of you are saying.
Right.
It's personal.
Right.
Would you like to add some thoughts to that for anyone that may be listening?
I think so. I mean, 2004, I was in San Juan, Puerto Rico. I was a karaoke host for Carnival Cruise
my
Line.
gosh.
No way.
That's some time ago. Wait a second. Wait. I have to do this. I know people are like, what is he doing? First of all, this James Leath is on television. Was it farmersonly.com? This man, long flowing gold locks, ripping, bulging muscles like Ned Flanders when he rips his shirt off. And I'm telling you, he was the face. That's probably why that company succeeded.
Yeah, they turned a corner after that commercial.
What?
Yeah. What's funny about that is when I show it to people, it's like people have seen it, and then I'm like, "Did you recognize that guy?" They're like, "No."
No.
I'm like, "Look again," and they're like, "Oh my gosh!" And that's
Wow.
I'm
gonna look it up.
Yeah, man. But the
We
point.
have to take a commercial break.
Yeah, take a
right?
commercial. And listen, Carlos, Viv, this is our production team. We're gonna see if we can find that spot.
Yes,
And maybe
and just insert it.
would you mind if we drop that spot? We're gonna drop that video spot in this.
Where are all the country girls?
They're at farmersonly.com.
Do you still get residuals from that?
No.
Oh,
no.
all right.
I
So
don't.
in perpetuity forever. All right, but the point you were making.
The point that's interesting about that commercial is because we were both at IMG.
Yes.
Is I was struggling working with this 16-year-old or 17-year-old soccer team, all international students.
Yeah.
And we just weren't connecting. It was a bunch of boys, and they were just they were overseas and stuff.
Yeah.
So, anyways, one of them called across the the food hall.
Yes.
The big food hall.
Yes.
Yep.
It's like, "Coach," and I'm like, "What's up?" And he's like, "You don't have to be lonely." And I was very embarrassed about the commercial at that time. So I was like, come here. What are you talking about? And he's like, "I saw you in that commercial, dude. You should have your long hair again like that. Yeah, I know that's you." And I'm like, "It's not me." He goes, "No, it is you. You're lying to me. And I think you should play it at our next session."
Genius.
I go, "Why?" He goes, "It's no joke. Or everybody knows you're not doing really well."
Yeah.
Like, we're not doing well."
This is
And I
what
was
the
like,
students
man,
said. Kids, man.
Tell like it is.
He was a good kid. He was one of the kids that came to our FCA sessions or our church sessions.
Okay.
Right? And he was and I still talk to him today on Instagram. But so I walk into my class. They're all sitting there. I shut the door. They put their phones down, and I just play the commercial. And I'm just sitting there waiting.
Yep.
And you can see them kind of like watching it. They're like, "Oh yeah, we've seen this." And then they look over at me, and then they look at the commercial, and they're like, "What? Oh, is that you?" And I go, "Yeah." And I tell you, I won them over
right there.
like because I was on TV. Now I had about 5 minutes to really win them over,
Right.
and it was easy after that.
After that.
That's a lesson
I'm
for
listening.
using your life experience to connect to whoever you're talking to, and when you get them, you have to recognize it and you have to deliver.
Yes.
Because 5 minutes later they don't care.
Yeah, they
that I'm
don't.
the
Yep,
friend.
gone.
True. That's right. That's right.
They don't care, right?
Right.
And so that's something that's like when you're a leader, you have to be a good storyteller.
Yes, you do.
That's the number one skill that you need to create is storyteller. 2 is your ability to communicate and
Yes.
connect and stuff. You got to be able to tell stories.
Right.
And so when I was able to tell that story, how I got that, and just like I'm sharing now, it's like, okay, I'm going to listen. You got a couple minutes. You win yourself a couple minutes. It's like when Jerry Seinfeld comes back after doing TV and he has no jokes left.
Yeah.
You give him like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
After 2 minutes, it's like, all right,
All right.
Jerry, can we get someone else up here? Because you got
Yeah.
you lose that
Right.
credibility
Correct.
very, very
Correct.
fast. You have to deliver when somebody finds out.
Yeah,
but
man.
so it's 2004,
Yep.
and I'm in San Juan, Puerto Rico. I'm at Froggers, and the dream team loses to San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Wow.
The U.S. basketball team loses. All of our stars
Yeah.
go to San Juan, Puerto Rico, and we get beat by a place that
Yeah.
we own.
I understand.
Like, we own
Yeah.
it.
He's like, we own it.
I remember they were celebrating. I'm like, calm down, everybody. We own you. Like, what is going? Like, you're good.
Like, calm that down.
So then they brought on Coach K, and instead of putting the team together in 2 weeks, it took 4 years to put the team together.
Yep.
Wow.
And there's a great documentary. on that.
It was a great documentary.
The Redeem team.
Yep. I remember this.
And so you see Coach K working with these athletes, and they are going out together.
Yeah.
And they're hanging out, and they're doing really, really well, except they weren't aspiring to be the
Yes,
best.
they were not.
Okay.
Until they brought on Kobe Bryant.
I was going to say it, and you already know what that
we go.
means.
They would go out at night,
Yep.
and they would be coming in at 4 o'clock
Yep,
in the
and
morning
expect to have
and
practice.
pass Kobe in the hallway who was going to the gym. None of them
Really?
lifted weights. None of them warmed up before practice. And a few days later, one of them joined Kobe. A few days after that, all of them were there, and we dominated.
Leadership. Leadership.
Yeah, man.
That's leadership. And Kobe wasn't saying, join me.
He didn't say
Right.
a
He was
word.
just go.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that's
He
right.
was doing him.
That's right.
That was it.
In
I
our
love
book,
that.
we
That's
talk
a
about
leader.
that.
A leader shows by example, and they will always be found out.
Yes.
How many days was he doing that before?
Come on.
His entire
His
career.
entire
Exactly,
life,
exactly.
virtually.
That's right.
Man, that's amazing. We talk about that very same thing about leadership. And I think the problem we have in the world that we live in today is that we overuse certain words and terms. They become buzzwords and things, right? So the message doesn't really get as deep as it could go. But when you said what you just said in particular about leadership, this is just someone who is committed, dedicated to doing what they truly believe and are convinced is what they need to take their lives to the next level or their purpose to be fulfilled.
That's right.
And other people will tag along.
That's right.
We try to get people to understand that when they're afraid to do something. I was like, do it afraid and do it right now.
That's right.
And the support will come along because they'll see that you're sincere about it. It's one thing when you're talking a good game, but it's another thing when people see you walking a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
I love that.
That's amazing, man.
And, you know, for those who are looking to one day be a speaker or to do something like I do and like you do,
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you remember this, but I came up with this, what I'm about to say, when I was on the phone with you a couple of weeks ago.
Let's go.
It's the idea of that when your mess has aged, then you have a message.
Woo!
I think I just went cross-eyed.
Man, let's say that again, sir.
There we go.
Listen,
We're
my
back.
gosh.
What
Right? So when your mess has aged
You have a message.
and you look back on it and you're like, here are the lessons that I got from it. Now you have a message.
Come on, bro. Beautiful.
I came up with, I was
We were
driving
on
the
the
freeway.
phone
Beautiful.
talking
It's
with
deep.
I literally pulled over and typed it into my phone. I was
My
like,
man.
I got to do that.
Divine
And listen,
wisdom right there.
but
That's
you have,
revelation.
first of all,
Bro,
that was an
here's-
incredible revelation.
Huge.
Second thing is I want to say that has nothing to do with this topic, but it's going to help somebody when they hear this because I
Okay.
learned this from a minister years ago.
Okay.
And they were talking about sometimes God will give you things and put things on the inside of you or say something to you.
Okay.
But because of the way our minds work, it can't be held on to forever.
Okay.
So you pull your butt over to the side of the road
Like he did, right?
and you type it or write it as fast as you can. This
Right,
is why
right.
some of the leaders that I read, they
Right.
walk around with a notebook.
Right.
It's a little bitty notebook, if this like, 4x4 or something to have in their coat pocket
Okay.
or a flip pad, because they're always getting divine inspiration. And if you're listening, just like James just said, not only was that point amazing, because I guarantee you, if we ended the show right there, that was what you needed to hear. Once your mess has aged, now you have a message. But second,
But you got to go through the mess
you
first.
gotta do
right.
the,
That's
come
right.
on,
That's
bro.
right. That's
You
right.
gotta go through the mess.
That's right.
So remember, you're actually being developed
Yeah.
by the mess that you walked through.
Yeah.
And you have to give yourself enough credit, and then coining from my wife, give yourself enough grace
Yes.
and patience
Yes.
to give yourself the time to grow through that. Because maybe, just maybe, the person you're trying to become and desiring to become is trying to be birthed through what you're going through.
Jeez.
Come on, man.
That's a whole
James,
message.
bro, you the man. I love that, bro.
Well, I mean, you got like Jim Rohn. He always said, "Don't wish that it was easier. Wish that you were better."
Yeah.
And you got to
Love
go
Jim
through
Rohn.
the hard stuff. So, leaders are people who have gone through the stuff.
That's right.
Leaders are when we connect at the level we connect. We only do that because we can look back and be like,
Yeah.
"Look at all that
Do you
hard stuff."
remember?
Of course. Of course.
Like it's the tragedies, the
Yeah,
deaths,
bro. Yeah,
the
man.
ends of relationships,
Yep.
the losing of a job, the thin times when money was
Gone,
there was a
sir.
lot more money than there was money,
Man.
and you go through those times and you need those times.
Right,
You
right.
need to struggle with that kind of stuff.
Yes, yes, my man. And I would say this,
Yeah.
don't fight the struggle. Just keep fighting to struggle, meaning fight through it.
Yeah, that's
Because
right.
as you grow, and bro, I'm telling you, I'm gaining a lot of this from the conversation we're having right now because of the things you're sharing.
Yeah.
And it's ministering to me and talking to me as well. Just give yourself time
Yeah.
because you're on the way to the more you're desiring.
That's right.
The thing about life is you cannot give up because maybe you're leading yourself. You know the way that I always look at it, and I told my father-in-law this, James, and he just stopped when he looked at me, and I said, the reason I do what I do and I push the way that I push is because I know that there's lineage in me. I'm doing this not just for me and my family, my wife right now.
Right.
It's for the people that are going to come after me
Right.
and the people I was made to impact
Come on.
because they are a part of all that I'm doing right now.
That's true. It's deep.
Man.
That's good.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
deep.
keeps on going.
Yes, sir.
And so we pass those lessons on. I don't have children, but I know that I have people that look up to me, and I have kids that will call me coach and whatever. And I just translate that as dad.
That's
Yeah.
I'm like, okay,
right.
what do you need? And
that.
I love it. And so there's a lot of ways to make a great influence out there. And until you deal with what you've gone through, until you can label it, this is what happened. Or maybe you need to change the meaning of why it happened. Instead of just being like, this happened to me. It's like, nah, it's happening through you.
Let's
It's
go,
like,
James. Talk about it.
It's happening through you, so that way you can share it with somebody else. Like your mess that you went through can go for someone else to be like, oh, okay, cool. That's why I read so many biographies. A lot of those books are biographies, where it's just like I'm reading about other people's struggles, and I'll read fiction because now I'm reading about other people's struggles that were made up by somebody who probably went through a very traumatic upbringing. Right. Some of the best writers, some of the best comedians
100%.
have some of the best or some of the most messed up lives.
That's right.
In the past.
Right.
The most traumatic experiences.
Even hearing the word trauma, a lot of people want to hide the trauma, but some of the best people in the world that have communicated effectively their mess and have aged in that mess and transformed that into their message, there's so much credibility and power. And I feel like people, they attach themselves to that. They want to know more of that. And we were at a conference and there were many Olympians there.
Yeah.
And one decided to share her own mess.
Yeah, man.
And it translated into the most powerful.
Yeah, it rocked us all.
It was huge because she was authentic. She knew her narrative. She delivered it no matter if she was comfortable or not.
Yeah.
And she was able to speak from the seat of overcoming.
Yeah, man.
Not from like, I'm just struggle. It was like, this is what I went through. This is how I performed when I was at the Olympics, through it.
Yeah.
And now here I am as an advocate, helping other people and helping other women through this.
She's really an activist. In that sense.
She's definitely an activist. It is, yes.
That's huge.
Yeah, I know. So with trauma, I even want to speak to that. I encourage our audience to understand that, yes, there are some major things that happen in our lives. It is your responsibility to understand that other people are attached
That's right.
to that story too.
That's right.
And when you find the courage and the confidence to speak on behalf of that, don't be afraid, because there are so many people that will gravitate and reach out to you because they've been waiting on a courageous voice and a confident voice to just speak into what they're going through.
Yeah.
That's the big part.
You know what I'm hearing between you, and this is a great point for us as we build our team, and we'll also give you a place to speak on this, is trauma, team, right? And moving forward in this way, don't be afraid of your trauma. Allow your trauma to help you as you're building your team. But don't walk in your trauma and assume that you can build your team off of it. I know that sounds a little conundrum-y. I don't know if that's a real word. Conundrum-y? Is that a real word, James? I know you read a lot of words. It is.
He's quick.
But the point I'm making is transparency.
Right. That's right.
Because what I was saying is you don't want to lead from a place of trauma.
Right.
You want to build your team using trauma.
That's right.
Because everyone has things we're going through.
Right.
But it takes a transparent leader.
Come on.
In order for that trauma to transform.
That's right.
James, don't you write down that. I know you did. You're going to use that your next speaker. He's going to.
I did. I wrote something down, but it was only to add value to what you said,
please,
because
I'm
when
just
you
joking.
see leaders build teams from their trauma without dealing, then they're looking for those teams to actually validate them. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm going to be a leader so that people look up to me, instead of I want to be a leader so that I can serve others. Those are two very different endings to the story.
Oh my gosh, gives me chill bumps. Talk about that, please. Don't just drop that and leave it.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, so what I want to say, what Yvana was saying, is I want to talk about dragons and gold.
Okay.
And the reason, so a dragon is something in many cultures that, who knows if they're really alive.
Right.
But the point is that they're terrifying, and they are always in every story protecting gold. And you
Or a
gotta
girl.
think, whenever you hear a story, what's that?
Or a girl.
Maybe, but I don't know.
You never seen the stories where the dragon, is blocking the entrance to
Let
the
him
princess?
finish with
But
the
okay,
gold.
all
I
right.
thought that
Let
was
him
King
finish.
Kong. King Kong
We're
is
not
the one
talking
that's
about-
Okay, all right,
protecting the
all
world.
right. Go ahead. Dragons and gold. But yes, they're typically guarding
But
gold.
in
Yes.
legends and mythology, there's always some kind of dragon, and the dragon is protecting some kind of treasure. Whatever the treasure is up to the person who's interpreting the story.
Right.
The reason the dragon's protecting it is because you have, as the courageous person, as the hero, have to go fight the dragon, because in that treasure is the gold of your trauma that you will help the world with.
Yeah, man.
It's a story that we see over and over. Like you see Pinocchio.
Right.
Pinocchio, his dad. I didn't like the new version with Tom
Yeah.
Hanks because they switched up the ending a little bit. But the original story is that you have this father figure who gets swallowed by the whale, and now Pinocchio, in order to become a man and to become an adult, has to go and save his dad. He's got to go into the depths of the ocean and go into the belly of the whale. Of Geppetto, and that's not, I forget what, anyways, but he goes into the whale and he brings out his dad, and all of a sudden that's his coming of age tale.
Yes.
So every leader has a coming of age tale. They have this time where they went into the depths of whatever, they fought the dragon, they went into the whale, whatever analogy you want to use, but all these stories, and one of the reasons why I think America is in this decline is because we forgot about stories from the past, things that teach us things.
Right.
But you have to go into, and what Yvana, you were saying is that you have to go into your trauma, into your wound, because that's where the gold is. That's where, and everybody who has a great story,
Always.
and I'm not talking about, like, there are people out there that share a story, and then you talk to them in the green room, and you realize you're a phony. You're a fake. You don't really believe what you're saying. There's just a lot of money in motivational speaking. Those people always get found out. And what's interesting is when they get found out, there's always this big redemption story of like, look, I was a fake for years.
Because that was their coming of age story.
It's a good way to market themselves.
Like, you see that all the time, and we're okay with that, especially you see it in sports. But you have to go and fight the dragon. You have to go and fight the battle, and it's not easy. And when I was divorced, I was like, I can't believe I'm now divorced. Like, I can't even align that with my identity. So I went to therapy and I did the work, and I figured out, like, what were the things that I brought to the marriage that made it fail? What were my problems, and what were the things that contributed to me in this failing? And that's not easy, because then you admit that you're not right. You have to admit that maybe you did something wrong. And a great leader can be like, you know what? I made mistakes.
That's right.
Authentically.
I did this wrong and I did that wrong, but here's how I'm better. And so whatever lady gets me next, man, they're gonna get a good.
That's right. That's
James
right.
with the no hair, you're gonna be it, man.
Farmers only.
Farmers only. Is it .com? No?
Don't put.
I didn't know.
What'd you say?
She added the .com, and I was trying not to use the whole website, but whatever.
It's out. But so my whole point is that like, it's very important to fight that monster, because that monster, which is your ego,
that's 100%.
That monster is hiding and protecting you from being able to be your best self.
That's right.
And you can't, there's no shortcuts.
Right.
No shortcuts.
That's right.
You have to go through it. And so whether it's a season of, okay, I'm going to get off social media. I'm going to focus on,
come on, bro. You're talking our language. Let's go.
Do some reading. I'm not going to, I don't need to finish Ozarks or whatever TV show is out. And I'm just going to spend time with me. It's like, that's okay.
Yeah, it is.
You don't need to make a big announcement about it. Do your face.
Nope. Yeah, I know. That's so dumb. I hate when that.
It's not authentic either. It's like, who are you talking to?
But that's what, so when it comes to leaders and when it comes to teams, number one, like, you have to face all the stuff you've done wrong in the past. And number two, don't create a team just to give yourself validation.
Don't create a team just to give yourself validation. Wow. I think that right there.
That was it. That was it.
Everything we discuss is enough. In fact, James, what we'll do is we'll probably just do an invoice and just have all of our audience members and different people just pay into it. because the wisdom that you shared
I appreciate it.
was incredible. And I think
No,
the
no.
conversation was great.
Something?
Yeah, that's what,
Yes.
it looked like that. It's
Recurring
going to start with the
payments.
production team. They're going to
Yes.
actually have to chip in on this.
Offering please pass.
But we may even have you back at a future time because what you
Yeah.
gave was so valuable.
Please.
And of course, it gladdens our heart to see you. We're just so
Yes.
proud to see you because, again, a lot of people listening and watching don't know that we both knew each other when we were being developed
That's
through
right.
our pain and through our trauma.
That's
And
true.
it was amazing to see the progress that I think all of us are making, bro. So with that, do you have 3 takeaways you want to give? It doesn't matter if there's something you already said or something. I mean, it's up to you.
Let's see. Fight the dragon.
Fight the dragon.
Find your treasure.
Okay.
And share it with the world.
My
Love it.
brother, you couldn't
Oh
have
my
done it any
goodness.
better.
He's
out.
He's gone.
This
Ladies
dude
and
literally
gentlemen,
got
he
up.
has left the
Ladies
building.
and gentlemen, he didn't drop the mic. He dropped the laptop. I mean, he was done. No, bro, what a great show. Ivana, I know
Phenomenal.
that you're pleased. I'm definitely
Yes.
happy.
Thank
And
you, guys.
Just let people know where they can find you. First, where's the website?
Yes.
Spell it out after you say it.
JamesLeath.com. That's where everything's at. Leath. You'll find all that stuff. You won't find the commercial there. You got to go to YouTube for that. But,
Already doing it.
And the name of your book.
Team building activities for athletes, and it's just the first one.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we got some other ones.
That's
coming
amazing. And where is it available?
All on Amazon. I tell you, I did it all myself.
Wow, man.
I wrote it. I made the cover. I uploaded it to Amazon. It's 100%. All royalties go to me and Amazon.
Oh,
So,
my
that's-
man. All right.
That's
I
amazing.
recommend it. When you write a book, just go through Amazon. You don't need a publisher.
Understood.
It's been
Understood. I mean, a little shade throwing it this way, I think. I mean, we did use the publisher traditionally published, but okay, all right. Okay,
He was talking about others. He
Oh,
said
maybe. Yeah,
others.
sure. Okay.
Others.
Well, sorry. I have to work on my ego there.
It's
No,
okay.
Great
Don't worry, our
read.
book's
Ego
gonna be on there.
is
fight
the
the
enemy.
dragon, bro. Fight the dragon.
Yeah, because he has a story to tell. Huh?
There's some trauma there. All right. Well, we appreciate your time.
Yes,
Thank you so
James.
much,
Thank you
James.
so much.
And of course, if you've been listening, you know we are so glad that you were. Subscribe. There's no doubts after hearing this that you're going to want to get more information like this. Go find James Leath. You'll be able to find anything you need, resources, even follow him on social. The book I know will help you if you're a leader, if you actually have your own company or corporation, or if you actually put people together. Use the activities to build the type of morale that you are hoping to see in your environment. Of course, you know you can find us at aspirehigherlife.com, ASPIRELIFE, Aspire Higher Life, HIGHER life.com. Well, you know, they know where it is. It's on the screen.
It's on the screen.
It's
guys.
on the
Yes.
screen. And as we said in our last episode, we have a special gift for you. It's free for a limited time. It is a incredible ebook, a 5-day guide to confident purpose. Please download that. It will challenge and change your life, and of course, give you some steps to make some incredibly long-term change.
That's right.
All right. Thank you, guys. That's
Thank you,
it for
James.
Aspire Higher with Charles and Yvana Bailey.
Bye, guys.
Until next episode.